Greetings and a very warm welcome to you all to Astro Times today. In today's discussion, I will share my views with you about this Kala Sarpa Dosha, the much debated, never ending, baseless Kala Sarpa Dosha. This is one of the very frequently asked questions. Whoever it may be, whoever visits me, generally they frequently ask this question whether my horoscope has this Kala Sarpa Dosha or not. There were so many myths which were already spun around this Kala Sarpa Dosha. So what is real, what is fabricated one, we don't know. But when people keep on asking me about this Kala Sarpa Dosha, naturally some curiosity developed in me, and I started investigating. Generally, I gathered information from so many sources, books, or astrological classics. My base, whatever is my confusion, I first go to our astrological classics. बृहत्पराशर होरशास्त्र, फलदीपिका, फलरत्नमाला, जातकाभरण, सारावली, उत्तरकालामृत, लघुपराशरी. These are all the classics that I keep on referring to, whatever doubts I get. But none of these books they mentioned about this Kala Sarpa Dosha. Maybe much later development. This Kala Sarpa Dosha may be much later development. I think till in Uttara Kalamrita also there was no mention about this Kala Sarpa Dosha. Uttara Kalamrita was written in 17th century, I think. The author Kalidasa, he belongs to 17th century, and in his works also there was no mention about this Kala Sarpa Dosha as it appears to me. So I think it is much later development. So whenever a person approaches me for a second opinion about this Kala Sarpa Dosha, generally I ask why you came to such a conclusion, that why you are thinking that you have Kala Sarpa Dosha. Do you have Kala Sarpa Dosha in your natal chart? One view, what everybody, most generalized view they express, that all the planets in my natal chart are hemmed between both this Rahu and Ketu. Say what we call them as a dragon's head and dragon's tail in astrological language. Actually, they are moon's north node and the south node. They are also called as dragon's head and dragon's tail. In astrological mythological language, we call them as Rahu and Ketu. If all the planets are held up between this Rahu and Ketu, and my astrologer said I have this Kala Sarpa Dosha in my natal chart. Most generalized view. First of all, this generalized view will not apply to astrology. Specific view. Only specifics will be there. And I heard most of the astrologers, they are expressing their personal views about their charts, which is also ridiculous, utter ridiculous. No astrologer can express his personal views about any natal chart. Rules are strictly laid down in our astrological classics. Follow them, read them, digest them, understand them, decode them, analyze them, and reveal it to the seekers to the extent necessary. That is what an astrologer has to do. Okay. Now we will come back to the Kala Sarpadosha. Let us forget the generalized view. All the planets are held between Rahu and Ketu. So there is a Kala Sarpadosha in your chart. This is one side of the story. I don't know whether this Kala Sarpadosha is correct or wrong. I have no authoritative evidence with me to rubbish around, rubbish it aside. So I cannot deny their argument as well. I am presenting my views or whatever. So my views means whatever is there in my knowledge, whatever I gather to the extent what I am able to gather some information about this Kala Sarpadosha, and that I am sharing with you all. You believe it or don't believe it, I just simply don't bother about it. This is what I read in our astrological books. I don't say classics. There was no mention about this Kala Sarpadosha in our astrological classics. Okay. Let us start with, I'll tell you some points, make a note of it. And this is what Kala Sarpadosha is called as. There are 9 planets: Sun, Moon, Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, Venus, Saturn, Jupiter, finally Rahu and Ketu. Now our discussion mostly oscillates between Rahu and Ketu. Okay. If there are 2 kinds of Kala Sarpadoshas, one is clockwise Kala Sarpadosha and the other one is the anti-clockwise Kala Sarpadosha. Clockwise Kala Sarpadosha and anti-clockwise Kala Sarpadosha. Let me write. Point number 2. Rahu must be there in your ascendant. That means in your lagna, in your rising sign. Usually in opposite side, Ketu will be there. First house Rahu, second house Ketu, seventh house Ketu. This is condition 2. Condition 3. Ascendant must be in conjunct with Rahu. This is condition number 3. Condition number 4. Rest of the planets other than Rahu and Ketu must be aligned between 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 houses. No other planet should be there in conjunct either with Rahu or Ketu. This is point number 4. Point number 5. This dosha must have been formed on the Amavasya day, that is no moon day. Point number 5. Point number 6. Sun and moon must be posited in 5th house. So Rahu's direct aspect should be there. 5th aspect or 9th aspect should be there in both Rahu and Ketu. And some people even exempt Leo and Cancer because they are own signs of Sun and Moon. There are so many ifs and buts like this. This holds good for clockwise Kala Sarpadosha. For anti-clockwise Kala Sarpadosha, planets must be aligned between 11, 10, 9, 8 houses. (11, 10, 9, 8 houses. Because in 7th house, Ketu is already there. No planet must be there in conjunct with Rahu and Ketu. The rule is there. But this is in anti-clockwise. Sun and Moon must be posited in 9th house. And the rule I said is that it also applies here. They should not, Sun and Moon must not be there in either in Cancer or Leo because they are their own signs. So if this many tests are qualified to the extent of 100%, then we can call it as a Kala Sarpa dosha. Yes, we can primarily come to a conclusion that there is a Kala Sarpa dosha in the chart of that nature. But I have not seen any such chart so far, or I don't have any authoritative evidence with me that whose chart is having this Kala Sarpa dosha, his life spoiled, or he scaled new heights in his life because of this Kala Sarpa dosha. Either I cannot prove it or I cannot disprove it. Both are correct. What I shared with you is the information that I gathered from various sources. As I already said earlier, till Uttara Kalamrita, I think it is not that Uttara Kalamrita was written in 17th century. Till 17th century, there was no mention of this Kala Sarpa dosha. It was fabricated in much later period. Okay. If you have any charts of this Kala Sarpa dosha, please bring them to me. I will analyze. My number is there on the screen. Thank you for watching the video. Goodbye and God bless you all.